Who is the head of a clan so formidable, even the emperor doesn't want to take him on?
でみては。それも面白いかもしれぬが、ラカンを敵に回したくはないし。
A man so brazen, he would insult the moon prince directly to his face.
カリソメの姿で欺き続けるつもりですか、ジンシ様。いえ、月の君。
A strategist so cunning, he can out his enemies in plain sight and they still won't realize what has happened.
赤が映えますぞ。確かに美しいです。でしょう。
I'll tell you, it's the same man who can't always orient himself in space or time. It's the same man who can't recognize faces. It's the same man who is now the head of the once disgraced Lakan. I'm up at the Otaku. I have read all 14 of the Apothecary Diaries light novels, plus the last 2 editions of the web novels. And today we are going to be doing a deep dive into the Lakan family tree. Of course, this is going to include the man of the hour, Lakan himself, but we're also going to talk about Loman, Lahan, Lahan's older brother, and of course, Mao Mao and Fengshin. You already know the vibes. We're going to break this video down into 3 main sections. First, we're going to dive into the Lakan family tree. It is quite nuanced and a bit chaotic, but we're going to get through it together, I promise. Then we're going to talk about the importance of named clans in the Apothecary Diaries and what it is about the Lakan specifically that makes them so powerful. And in section 3, I'm going to have a few very light spoilers. We're going to talk about how Lakan came into power, and we're also going to talk a little bit more about Lahan's older brother. If you're not into spoilers, you will have plenty of time to click off of the video before we get into them, I promise. And my hope is that by the end of this video, you all will know, just like I know, not only is the Lakan the most powerful non-royal named clan in this story, they're also just the best. Let's get into this. The Lakan family tree is the reason why this is my 18th attempt at making this video for you guys. I had to create the family tree multiple times to get everything right because there's so much movement within the branches. And once I finally had a whiteboard large enough to do that, I could not find a good enough place in my tiny Japanese apartment. Hold it up so you guys could see it. So we're going digital. Okay, so the first thing you need to know about the Lakan family tree is that Lakan's father is the anchor of the family tree, which is a bit ironic because we never actually get his name, and in the grand scheme of things, he's not that important in the story. I think for maybe 2 or 3 episodes in season 3, he might be a focal point, but after that, it's pretty much curtains for him, truly. The most important thing we need to know about him now, though, is that he is Loman's older brother, which means that Loman is Lakan's uncle. I think a lot of people miss this, and the anime doesn't beat you over the head with this, so it's easy to miss. Let's take a second to talk about Loman. Mao Mao often describes Loman as the king of misfortune, and truly, she's absolutely right. Starting off, he's the younger brother in his clan, so he doesn't get to inherit the clan, right? His chances of being the head of the clan immediately dashed. Despite that, he still makes something of himself. He becomes a literal world-renowned physician. But that also means that when the palace needs a physician, they have to get the best, which is Loman. And in order for Loman to actually rise to the occasion, he has to become a eunuch. So for all of his smarts, all of his talents, all of his accomplishments, his reward is castration. To top things off, when everything goes down with Lady Anshi, Lady Odwell, and the 2 missing children, once the current emperor realizes what has happened, he is angry, and he has no one to take his anger out on because Lady Anshi and Lady Odwell are his family. So he takes it out on the physician, Loman. Loman is banished from the rear palace, and they take his kneecap away. Loman's life is just a series of unfortunate events. I think when people miss that Lakan and Loman are biologically related, uncle and nephew, they also misinterpret why Loman is raising Mao Mao. I've had people kind of chalk it up to coincidence, which perhaps, but I think the text really heavily infers that it is absolutely intentional. When Lakan goes away for those 3 years and he comes home and he finds the letter with the pinkies inside of it, he notes that the letter has already been opened. And later on, he realizes that Loman was the one who opened it, and that is why Loman knew that there was a child in that brothel and went to go and collect the child. This was not coincidence. It was intentional. This was Loman doing his duty as an uncle and truly as a father figure to Lakan, but we're going to get into that more when we talk about Lakan. Let's move on. So Lakan's father and Lakan's mother get together to have Lakan. I know I'm saying Lakan's mother, but it's also important to know that this was also Lakan's father's wife. His parents were married. He was in a standard traditional household. However, Lakan's mental difficulties and his inability to see faces or to orient himself was a point of contention for his father. And as a result, his father started cheating on his mother. We'll get into that later. The boiling point of it all that kind of made Lakan's father abandon him was there was a moment where Lakan couldn't tell the difference between his mother and his nursemaid. And his father at that point realized he didn't want to make Lakan the head of the clan. So he started having an affair with another woman, which we'll call Lakan's father's second wife. After this incident, though, Lakan's father abandons him. They don't leave him by the side of the road, but they kind of just let him do whatever. He's no longer considered to be the next in line to be the head of the clan, despite being the oldest son. As they pretty much leave him for dead, Loman is the one that steps up to be the father figure of Lakan, which is why we see Lakan revere Loman with so much respect, so much gratitude. It was Loman that took Lakan under his wing and helped him try to identify people without having to rely on knowing their face. You can kind of infer from the text that it's also Loman's idea to see people as the ghost stones. Okay, before we move on to the rest of the family tree, I just want to highlight something about Lakan that I've seen so many people make a joke of and they laugh and they think that it's funny. And it is, don't get me wrong, it is funny. But I think the way the anime portrays it and the way the novel portrays it is drastically different, right? The scene during the garden party where Lakan takes the hat of the man in front of him and uses it to wipe his hands, right? It's like funny and disrespectful and ha ha ha. In the novel, that scene is written that Lakan cannot remember how he got there. He doesn't know what he's doing there. He's incredibly disoriented. A lot of the things that are portrayed as like humorous or quirky are things that he's like genuinely struggling with. And I think it's important to hold a bit of empathy for Lakan. Can you tell he's my favorite? Let's move on. Okay, so Lakan's stepmom and Lakan's father get together. They have Lakan's half brother. Lakan's half brother takes a wife and they have Lahan and Lahan's older brother. So let's talk about Lahan for a second. Now, if you're following the family tree, you know that Lahan is Lakan's nephew, right? They have an uncle and nephew relationship. Lahan is a math wizard. He loves arithmetic. He loves being a mathematician and he loves using numbers to figure out and really understand the world. Like Mau Mau, like Lakan, like everyone else in the Law clan, his social skills need a great deal of work. But his brilliance is undeniable. I think it's really funny, and if you follow me on TikTok, I'm sure you're cackling right now. You already know what I'm about to say. I think it's really funny that people who have seen like the animations of him in the anime are like attracted to him because canonically in the novel, he's described as ugly, unkept, ew. And I have taken quite a bit of teasing for having my Lahan glasses, but they never said he had bad taste in glasses. Okay, guys? So let's just move on. So at this point, if you're following the family tree, Lakan is no longer next in line to be the head of the clan, right? They're going to give it to Lakan's half brother. And we'll talk more about this in section 3, but when Lakan usurps power back to himself, Lahan is the one that helps him with that. And as a result, Lahan is then adopted by Lakan, which makes him both a cousin and a brother to Mau Mau. It depends on which ties that bind at the moment. So let's talk about Lahan's older brother. In my last video, I talked about his relationship with Mau Mau. Though he and Mau Mau are just cousins, Mau Mau tends to revere him as much closer to her than Lahan, who is technically her brother. Lahan even points this out, saying, I feel like you like him more than you like me. And Mau Mau doesn't deny it. The family dynamics here, fascinating. Let's move back into the center. Okay, so we already know that Lakan and Fengshin got together. They had a tragic love story. They had Mau Mau, and Mau Mau is their biological daughter. Mau Mau is constantly saying she doesn't have a mother, she doesn't have a father. The only father she acknowledges is Loman. However, I want to take the time to remind everybody that Mau Mau is an unreliable narrator. You can't take everything she's saying at face value because she is going to be unreliable at times. For almost the entirety of season 1, she repeatedly talks about she has no mother, she has no father. Yet, when they get married, she joins in on the celebration willingly, without being asked to, knowing that even if she didn't, no one would be able to tell either way. She still wears the dress that she was sent. She goes to the top of the wall. She does the dance and she celebrates with them. I think the most interesting thing about Mao Mao to me, and what makes Mao Mao such a compelling character, is how intricate her relationship to her own emotions really are. She has a line very early on: love is an emotion she left behind in the womb. But we see Mao Mao love deeply throughout this series and throughout this story. We see the love that she has for Xiaolan. They're out shopping and Mao Mao thinks to herself, is this what it's like to have a younger sister? Like, a small moment like shopping evokes such big emotions. She was so protective and supportive of Shisui during the Shi Clan rebellion. We've seen her have these really big emotions and love. When she speaks as if she doesn't know those emotions, as if she never feels them, as if she never acts on them. It's really fascinating. But you know what they say, the apple does not fall far from the tree, because where Lakan will tell anybody with ears how much he loves his child and how much he loves his family, Fengshin, we know, was much more tight-lipped, kept her emotions closer to the chest. And that was even a huge reason why her plan with Lakan fell apart, right? Lakan had no idea that she was feeling the same things that he was feeling. He still felt like she thought he was beneath her. It's very interesting how Mao Mao is both parts of her parents when it comes to emotions. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. Loman is Lakan's uncle, which makes him Mao Mao's grand uncle. But he adopted Mao Mao, which also makes him Mao Mao's father. Lakan is Lahan's uncle, but he adopted Lahan, which also makes him Lahan's father, which means that Lahan is both a cousin and a brother to Mao. I also want to note that in later novels, Lakan does adopt more children. It's different. They're not technically La Clan children. It's complicated, but just putting it out there, Lakan love the kids, okay? Before we wrap up this family tree, I just want to talk about the lack of names on this side of the family tree. None of these people have names. They're really not important in the grand scheme of things, with the exception of Lahan's older brother. Like I said, he is my second favorite character in the La Clan, and we'll talk about him more in section 3. I want to make 2 points. His name does get revealed much after his introduction, but I am not going to say his name at any point in this video for 2 reasons. One, I think that that's a really major spoiler and it would ruin such a huge part of the show. Like, the buildup is actually very fun, and I wouldn't want to take that away from anybody who has not read it yet. And 2, even if you have read it and you know what his name is, I still wouldn't use it, because I am holding out for him to get his La Clan family name. He more than deserves to be a recognized member of this named clan. Which brings us to the importance of named clans. So the Apothecary Diaries takes place in a fictional kingdom of Li. In Li, there are about 15 to 20 named clans. We've met some of them already, but not all of them. For example, Gaoshan and Basen are both part of the Ma clan. For centuries, the Ma clan has been charged with the protection of the emperor and the emperor's line and lineage. There's the Shi clan. Pretty much all of season 2 was about the Shi clan and the Shi clan rebellion. We met Shisui, we met Shisho, Shenmei, Suirei. Lady Gyokyu is from the Yu clan. We haven't met them yet, but they have talked about them. There's the business of them being foreigners from distant lands. There's a bit of tension there. So we've met some named clans. I want to make the distinction that a clan name is different from a surname. I've seen people get a little tripped up on this with Lakan and Mao Mao and the La names. Okay, so Lakan's name is Khan Lakan. Khan last name, Lakan first name. The clan name is where the La comes from. Very different. So the last name isn't changing for anybody, right? He is Khan Lakan, Khan Lahan, Khan Loman. Now, I will say, I don't believe Loman utilizes a surname. I can't quite recall if it was stripped from him or if he is just opting not to use it. He's described as like kind of disappearing after he's ousted from the palace, so he may be choosing not to use it, which technically means Mao Mao also isn't using it. But that doesn't change the fact that that is their family surname. The La is what marks them as a named clan, and clan names can be given and taken away. When we remember the Shi clan rebellion, Suirei's name was Shisui, and then Shenmei stripped her of the clan name and named her own daughter Shisui, Blulan, however you remember her as, named her Shisui and took the name from Suiren. We also know that Shisho wasn't born into the Shi clan. So Shisho is also a given name, right? His name was changed and he was given the Shi clan name. And the novels tell us that there's only so many surnames in the kingdom. So having a similar surname or the same surname as somebody you're not actually related to isn't uncommon. And the same goes for the actual clan names. If you're familiar with Japanese kanji or Chinese kanji, what makes the clan name so specific isn't necessarily the sound like la or she or you or ma, but rather the character that's written to represent it. No one outside of the clan would use that character in their name, even if they had the same surname or clan name. And the character is what holds the honor for the name, right? It's not about being wealthy or being royalty, but rather the character that offers the clan prestige. The Law clan, though, sticks out when it comes to all of these different prestigious clans because Lakan has taken that prestige and turned it into something far more powerful, far more effective, more coveted. Lakan's superpower in this kingdom is that he does not engage in politics. He does his job as a strategist for the Imperial Army, and that's it. He doesn't create factions. He doesn't ally himself with different politicians within the kingdom. But his brilliance is widely recognized, and it's this specific power that Lakan has that Gaoshan was referencing right before Jinshi and the rest of the army stormed the palace to save Mao Mao. Gaoshan says something along the lines of, now that everybody knows who Mao Mao is to Lakan and who you are, you cannot be so casual with her anymore. You need to become a more serious person with this relationship. A lot of people didn't know what he meant by that. But because of who Lakan is and the power that his name holds, if his child were then to be aligned with the Moon Prince, the Imperial brother, then that would be equivalent of Lakan aligning himself with the Imperial brother. Why does that matter? Because there are many factions already existing in this kingdom that want the Imperial brother to be the next emperor. They do not want to recognize Lady Gyokyo's children as the next emperor because Lady Gyokyo is of foreign blood. So Lakan's approval or disapproval of Jinshi and Mao Mao's relationship could change the trajectory of the lives of virtually everyone in the kingdom. That is a lot of power for one man to have. And again, I am a proud Lakan Glazer, but I do not want it to be missed. Lakan is not the only person in the Law clan that is raising the prestige of this clan to another level. As I said before, Loman is a respected physician, world renowned. And though he has had a couple of bad turns in life, he is still widely sought after for his knowledge. And in later novels, when the Emperor reflects on how he treated Loman when everything went down with the children and the baby passing, you can kind of infer that he feels bad about this. Not just because Lakan has threatened him, but because he knows that that was not his finest hour. And then we have Mao Mao. Mao Mao has taught the Emperor's consorts how to please him. Mao Mao has saved the lives of multiple of his children at this point. There is no denying that Mao Mao not only has the favor of the current emperor, but also the respect. And as we start to see Lahan using more of his numbers for the good of the kingdom, we're going to see that the entire Law clan has not just the favor and respect of the current emperor, but maybe a little bit of fear too. Okay, now for the part that I've been waiting for. We're going to talk about how Lakan came to power, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Lahan's older brother. We're going to split the part about how Lakan came into power into two sections. The section that they've already covered in the anime, and the section that they haven't already covered in the anime. If you don't want the spoilers, I will let you know before we get to that section. Let's go. Okay, so remember the family tree? Lahan has a younger half brother, and it is decided that he will be the next head of the Law clan instead of Lakan. Lakan is fine with this. He enjoys having his freedom. He enjoys not having to engage in politics. Like I said, he hates it. He is okay with this. He meets Fengshen. He falls in love. They have a child. His family keeps him from that child. And in his mind, when this is starting, he has now lost the child, and he has lost Fengshen. They are both dead. And it's the scene in the anime where Granny is like hitting him with the broom that he has this thought in the light novel that I don't think is addressed in the anime. But he's on his knees, he's crying, he's being beaten by a wooden stick, and he's thinking to himself, my father has made me lose everything. I've lost everything I've cared about. I'm taking what he cares about. And I love that for him. I love that for him. He said, you took the things I love? I'm taking what you love. A man, I'm so sorry. The devastation of losing both Fengshen and a child he's never even gotten to meet is what causes him to really focus, get his head in the game, and start playing politics in order to usurp power from his father. Now for the how. If you don't want the spoilers, now's the time to get away. And if you do want the spoilers, don't worry, I'm going to keep them light because they're going to go over this in season 3, so I don't want to completely ruin it for you. Essentially though, Lakan's father is cooking the books. He's doing some bad paperwork, bad business. And Lakan utilizes Lahan's mathematical skills to find the proof that he needs to prove that he's doing that. And once he has that proof, he essentially kind of strong arms his father into relinquishing the power to Lakan, who it rightfully belongs to in the first place, but that's neither here nor there. Truly, my favorite part of Lakan's rise to power is his why. That he was so devastated by the loss of Fengshen and Mao Mao that he decided he was going to ruin his family. I love that for him. Let's get into Lahan's older brother. I'm not going to do any spoilers. I feel like they wouldn't really mean anything because you guys don't know who he is yet, right? It's hard to really ground yourself in what I'm about to say. I want to say this though. Up until now, I have talked about the thing that makes the Law clan so powerful essentially is their intelligence, right? Their brains, how smart they are. Lahan's older brother is the brawn for all of that brain. And I love him for it. He is not intelligent in the same way that they are, right? He's far more simple. He's a farmer. But that doesn't mean that he's stupid, and it doesn't mean that he is not pulling his own weight in that clan. And I've seen some people say that he is, and that's quite disturbing. Because when it's time to get out in the field and the wild beast is roaming around, he gonna get the fisticuffs going. He's gonna protect them. When they're at the banquet and a young lady's honor needs to be defended, he's gonna throw the fisticuffs. Like, he is the muscle of the Law clan, the muscle that they desperately need because they keep racking up enemies with not a single punch to be thrown amongst them, except for Lahan's older brother. Lahan's older brother is such a chivalrous man. He makes a lifelong lesbian think to herself, maybe men aren't so bad. That is the kind of man that he is. And I personally think that he has more than illustrated that he deserves a Law clan family name. My hope is that Natsuhyuga takes pity on him and finally gives it to him because he more than deserves it. And I know that I said that most of the Law clan is like heralded for their intelligence and he is the muscle, but I think you can argue that he is intelligent in a physical way. He's intelligent when it comes to fighting. He's intelligent when it comes to manual labor, right? He has his own level of genius that just leans more into the physical than the other Law clan family members. Intelligence all the same, plus muscles to boot. What's not to love? Anyway, I am not done, but if you've made it this far in the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share this video with somebody you know that loves the Apothecary Diaries as much as you and I do. Okay, I would love to grow this channel. And if you have the option to hype the video, please go ahead and do that. When you hype it, you give me as a small creator a chance to be seen by a larger audience. Okay, so let's recap. The Law clan family tree is dynamic, to put it nicely. A lot of moving around, a lot of unconventional relationships, but the ties that bind are strong nonetheless. 2. Amongst the named clans in this fictional kingdom, the Law clan is an incredibly powerful one, not just because of their brains, but also because of the little bit of brawn they got. And 3, Lakan's rise to power being fueled by his love of Fengshen and Mao Mao, coupled with Lahan's older brother's ability to always jump in no matter what the physical ask is in a situation, illustrates for us that not only are these intelligent clan members, they're also just good people. And it's these same good people that make the Law clan not just the most powerful non-royal named clan in this kingdom, but also just the best. I mean, what's not to love? Anyway, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. This video was a labor of love, and I really hope you guys appreciate it. I know I already asked in the community post, but who are your favorite Law clan family members? No secret about mine, but I would love to know what everybody else is feeling like. Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Jane!